Cool. So we're here with Sebastian Castillo, a writer and professor at Manhattan College, author of the novels, 49 Venezuelan novels, and he's got a new book this year called Not I on Word West Press. So Sebastian, welcome.
Hello.
So yeah, I just want to start off talking about the new one.
Sure.
Yeah, I got to check it out. It's a really fun project, I thought. I
Thank you.
enjoyed it. Just to give like a little outline of kind of the structure of the book, it's kind of individual phrases, kind of standalone phrases using the 25 most common verbs in English. So that's kind of the structure, I guess, what in like Ulipo would be called like a constraint or something. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to ask you, like, how did you arrive at this constraint?
That's really funny that you mentioned the Oulipo because that's actually where it came from. I wanted to work on. It really more started like a diversion project. I wanted to set up a constraint and then work within it. And the more I was writing into it, the more kind of fun it felt, and the more it opened up. And I started taking it more seriously. But yeah, it's very different from my other writing. So that's also kind of exciting for me too, in that with the 49 Venezuelan novels and the short stories I write, they're a bit more loose, free, abstract, surreal. Whereas this book is sort of grounded in something a bit more material, I think. Um,
There was
so
a
yeah,
line I really liked from the kind of opening bit that was, "I write good things badly." Uh,
yeah,
that is-
exactly.
yeah. Is
Yeah.
there, I wondered, is there like kind of a sort of value for you in kind of like maybe crossing the wires, so to speak, like in that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I've always was interested in, what I'll call the kind of like list autobiography form, and some of the books that I think work in that form are Joe Brainerd's I Remember, Edouard Levé's Auto Portrait, Lyndon Ginian's My Life. There's a number of others, and I kind of like the way in which they take something really rigid and then try to infuse something a bit more playful within it. And that was definitely what I was going for, what I was trying to do with that project.
Hmm. That
Mhm.
was another thing I was going to ask. Like, what were you reading when you were kind of writing Not I?
Yeah, I mean, it's I've for a while I've been interested and I've been trying to seek out books that do this, but what I'll call like the autobiographical list form. Besides the one that I mentioned, there's this poem by Ted Berrigan called Three Pages, which I think does the same thing. There's a book by Matthias Wegner, I think I don't know how to pronounce his last name, called 2500 Random Things About Me Too, which is it started that book in particular started there was like a Facebook thing, meme, whatever you want to call it, going around maybe like 10 years ago, where you write 25 random things about yourself and you post it, and he just started doing it every day until he had 2,500 of them, and then compiled it into a book. So yeah, I think it's that mixture of taking something that's sort of amorphous, nebulous, like your memories in your life, and then kind of stifling them under a more constrained form that produced something exciting to me.
Hmm. It's funny you mentioned like a social media thing because I was reading your Twitter also, which was nice. I don't know. Would you feel? I mean, it seems like you're pretty active. Would you say like Twitter has influenced your other writing in some way?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's inevitable just because I use it so regularly. And I mean, more than anything, it's just been a great way to meet other writers, and see, because a lot of people, regularly post stuff that they're working on, and so it's a nice place to check that out. But yeah, I mean, I mean, it is, yeah, the book is written in kind of this epigrammic form, like these short sentences, and so yeah, maybe in some ways, I think the publisher and I are going to, once the book is out, we're going to make a Twitter bot where it just sort of randomly tweets out one of the lines for the book until the whole thing is tweeted out.
Nice. Um, for you, is there some, or would you say that there's something that necessarily elevates literature over Twitter?
Oh man, I don't know. That's a good question. Um, That's a question that I'm maybe not yet prepared to answer in my life. I
Yeah.
don't. I mean, because of course there's you want to say yes, but to be honest, I feel like there's tweets that I've read from like 5 years ago that I remember more clearly than entire novels that I've read. And I read a lot. I read, I'm always reading something, and I'll pick up a book on my bookshelf and say like, oh yeah, I should check this one out, and then like I'll get 20 pages in and then realize I've already read this book. I read it like 5 years ago and I totally forgot it. But there are some things that I've seen people write online that are sort of embedded in my memory. So I don't know. It's a good
It's kind
question.
of nice to forget something that you read, and then you can kind of go back and have the experience of all the surprise, like all
Yeah,
over again.
totally. Yeah. I
So,
have a bad memory in general, so.
perfect then in that case. So yeah, I guess like what's next? What's coming up next?
So yeah, I've been working on a bunch of short stories over the last maybe 7 years, maybe more like 5 years. But I have enough now that I'm gonna compile them into a short story collection. I'm maybe like 5 or 4 off. I'm still working on a few. And then yeah, once that's done, I'll compile it and then send it out somewhere. Maybe somebody would be interested in it. Yeah,
Cool. Well, great. So that's all the time that we have, I guess. But thank you so much for meeting up.
yeah,
And
thank
yeah,
you,
Not I, the new book. So check it out.
thank you.
Thanks.